Hi guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. Today I want to ask, have you ever felt like you were walking on eggshells in your own relationship? Like no matter what you did, it was never enough, or worse, it was somehow twisted into being your fault. If you've been trapped in a relationship with someone who has narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The love bombing, the gaslighting, the crushing devaluation. It leaves you questioning your reality, your worth, and even your sanity. But here's the truth: you weren't crazy, you weren't too sensitive, you were manipulated. And today's video, we're going to be breaking down exactly what narcissistic abuse can look like in some relationships, but more importantly, how to heal from it and take your power back. So, if you enjoy discussions like this, please subscribe, please like, and even suggest in the comments any other topics you'd like me to cover. So it was literally just a couple days ago, two of my closest friends, people I'd never expect to put up with abuse, quote unquote, finally confessed they were leaving their long-term partners. But the shocking part, to me at least, was they'd been hiding the truth of their relationship for months. Some of them, the relationship was almost 2 years. And I know that's not very long for some people, but these were partners we'd met and they were literally pretending this whole time. And as these friends have opened up to me, I've realized that they've thankfully escaped what they thought was just difficult, tough relationships. But as they're opening up, it's giving textbook narcissistic abuse cycles, the love bombing, the slow erosion of their confidence, the soul crushing gaslighting. And now these friends of mine, these beloved friends of mine, are having to pick up pieces of themselves they didn't even realize was being broken down. As someone who's worked in healthcare, which I don't think I've mentioned in this channel, I've seen how trauma rewires people, but nothing has actually prepared me for seeing how impacted my friends are. And that's why I've made this video, not just to expose the red flags or what the abusive relationship can look like in different circumstances, but I also want to give some tools and tips I found that I thought would be very helpful, as that's what I'm sharing with my friends as they rebuild. Because nobody should have to wonder if they're the toxic one at 2 a.m. in the morning. What a narcissistic relationship feels like. So I found this on Reddit and I thought it was a helpful way to try and explain the different scenarios people might be experiencing, and it might help give insight into whether or not you're going through a narcissistic personality disorder relationship and if that's who your partner is. So this person says it's so hard getting others to understand what the experience of a narcissistic relationship feels like. How do you explain your experience? I compare it to a dream that turned into a nightmare while I was in a coma. It was as if the entire time I was only dreaming of the life I built with the narcissist. The beginning of the dream was amazing, but it turned into a nightmare, and then I woke up to realize none of it was real. My identity wasn't real. My memories were all false, they weren't real. Everything I knew was all made up. While everyone continued living their lives, I was suddenly back to the beginning with nothing and no one. I had to recover from this coma, accept reality, and try to rebuild a life. Another user explains, it's like having an addiction to a relationship instead of a drug. Then when the abuse happens, you only focus on the good, the great, the what it was, not what it actually is. You get lost in the relationship, you forget who you are, you feel isolated, you have tons of anxiety. And then when you finally get the courage to walk away because it got so bad, you question everything that you ever did wrong, you pick through every action and regret any mistake regardless of the situation. What's worse is that everyone behind your back thought you were dumb, a loser, but you really aren't. The narcissist, made it seem like that to everyone. It's absolutely awful, and until someone experiences it, it's hard to explain. This user stated, I find narc abuse to be one of the most alienating things, and even more so when physical or extreme slash in public verbal abuse is absent. It's really hard to explain, and I feel like people who haven't gone through it wouldn't be able to get it. Or so has been my experience. It's hard. I had thought of it in terms of drugs, both the addiction and changing your perception, and finally getting sober. Though it's more like we get secretly drugged by narcissists without our consent and aren't even aware of the drug itself for a long time. Another user explains, it felt like I was under a spell. I lost my identity, my reality, and the people I knew. His darkness and made up reality completely consumed me, and I felt like I could never escape from the cage he built with lies. I eventually found the strength to break the spell. I was able to reclaim my identity and reestablish my reality. I rebuilt relationships with the people I knew before and found new friends who supported me. People couldn't believe how someone like me could be a victim of this, but they don't know that narcissists spare no someone like X. You fall into their sweet perfume, which turns out to be poison. They make you question everything about yourself, blame yourself, and become addicted to them. The painful part was I always thought he had an incredibly difficult childhood, and this is why he acted like that in a relationship. And as a human, he is a good person. I justified and enabled his behavior just like that. This is the final user experience I'm going to share, and they state it's like you start dating someone who convinces you that you're perfect for each other. Then they slowly start manipulating you in every situation. They slowly start showing they're not who they convinced you they were. They slowly start pushing you away. When you bring any of these issues up, they tell you that you're crazy and need therapy. They convince you that you can't trust your own thoughts. Your mental health starts to erode. You're constantly thinking about how to word things to get them to understand. You're constantly walking on eggshells to not set off their anger. You're constantly questioning yourself. You've completely lost who you are. And then one day, they're out of your life completely. You're so used to being in fight or flight mode and no longer need to be. It's jarring, and you're left to pick up the pieces of your life again. So I intentionally chose not to relay my friends' actual lived experiences and not to find like a similar like storyline on Reddit or online, because I'm acutely aware that the relationship itself, the dynamics can vary and it can present differently in different relationships and couples. So I thought it was more impactful to share these user experiences and feelings, because if you, having listened to those, think, oh, this resonates, this sounds familiar, it might be worth thinking long and hard if you might be in a narcissistic relationship. Now, I have two clips from two content creators who I think are very helpful. One is an individual who's actually diagnosed as a narcissistic personality disorder by psychiatrists where he lives, but he, maybe with therapy, has gained insight and he's trying to help other people on his TikTok. And the other is a lady very involved in this therapeutic space, and she has some really sound tips that I think are very helpful. And I share these videos with my friends as well as part of our discussions on how I'm supporting them.
So if you break up with a narcissist or they discard you, do not take the bait. And if you're new here, I'm a narcissist, actually a narcissistic personality disorder. So what I mean by don't take the bait is when the relationship ends with a narcissist, they may try to get you back. They may try to hoover you in by sending you songs and old poems and pictures of good times and old text messages and screenshots and blah, 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 boo, 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 beep, beep, beep. They want to remind you of the good times before they started treating you like crap and made the relationship end. Like whether or not you discarded them or they broke up with you. They can become extremely obsessive when they start doing this, y'all, because they want to elicit a response from you. They can start popping up at your house, popping up at your job, calling you 1,000 times a day, sending you text messages, creating fake phone numbers, sending you emails, sending you Snapchats, whatever, trying to communicate with you. Don't take the bait. It's all bait. This could also include promises to change, sending you an invoice for therapy, something like that, doing everything you ever wanted them to do. Do not take the bait, because sooner or later, if you reach out to them, if you crack, they might look. The crazy thing, they might stop talking to you. Once you reach out to them, they might go no contact with you. They might ghost you because now they think you're still interested. Now they feel like they still have access to you. Now they feel like they don't have to reach out to you because you reach out to them. They got you. They are in control right now. They're like little toxic fishermen just trying to change the bait to see if you will bite. You know, to see if you will. Oh, old song. Do not get pulled out of the water.
It is impossible to get over a narcissistic relationship without these three things. Now, when you are trying to heal from somebody who you believe could well be narcissistic on any level, it is incredibly confusing. You are grieving multiple layers and versions and costumes, is what I like to call them, of this person. Your brain chemistry has changed. Your brain biology has temporarily changed. You are dealing with the aftermath of what can be some of the most sophisticated and sneaky abuse on the planet. And you are dealing with a version of yourself and your brain that this person has molded into what they want it to be, so that you are under their control, so that you don't leave, so that you do stay in this push and pull dynamic with them. And so naturally, you're not yourself. And therefore, it can be very difficult to see clearly, to think logically. There's this whole battle going on between who you know they are and knowing the things they've done and said to you, but also this insatious pull that says, go back, be with them. What if they're great for someone else? What if they were right about you? What if I'm the problem, etc. And it is just messy in there. But the reality is, without these three things, it is literally impossible to get over this person. And without these three things, you will absolutely yo-yo back to this person. Not because it's your fault, but because your brain isn't going to have what it needs to get to that point of indifference. Number one, you have to be working towards acceptance and healthy mindset, neurological, new pathways, shifts. All too often, I will hear a client say some of the following. They can be abusive. They can be controlling. They can make me feel insecure. No, they are controlling. They are abusive. They do make you feel insecure. They can be nice. Not authentic nice, probably not much more than bare minimum nice, but nice. All too often, we're using the can word to try and unconsciously excuse their behaviour and look at the bright side of this person, keep the rose-tinted glasses on, not fully delve into the swamp that is the ugliness of how you have been treated and who this person is. And it is overwhelming when you've been with someone for 6 months, 6 years, 15 years, and you suddenly think, oh my God, they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how they're treating me. They're choosing to do this. It's so incredibly painful to think you've been with a person capable of it. And it's overwhelming. It's an overwhelming amount of processing. So the brain says, well, no, if we just put well, they can be like that, it's a bit easier to digest. But that means you're not creating acceptance. And without acceptance, you're not cutting that possible trauma bond, that toxic chemical attachment that has been formed. They are abusive, they are controlling, they do know what they're doing. It's not a sometimes thing, it's not a persona they slip into, it's who they are. And all of the nice things is not who they are. That's what they can be, when they choose to be and when it serves them. Number two, you absolutely have to have the tools to solve cognitive dissonance once and for all. Now, cognitive dissonance is when we very, very clearly know someone is absolutely not good for us, absolutely doesn't treat us well, etc., but we still want them. I call it the logic versus emotion battle in the brain, because the two different parts of the brain are fighting it out in there. And the emotional brain tends to win. And the emotional brain will be the one saying, maybe they can change. Maybe you're the problem. The emotional brain is where this person has planted the seeds of doubt, the insecurities, the fears, the worries, so that you rebound back to them, so that you feel you need them, so that you don't get over them ever. You're always then an option. You know, all these people are on strings around them, and if and when they feel they need a certain one, they pull the string and in you come. We have to break that string, and you have to have the tools to stop that fight, that internal psychological argument that is causing you such havoc. Because what that allows you to do is, no matter how much this person pulls on the string, you're not on the other end of it anymore. No matter what tactics they use, no matter how much they cry, no matter whether they turn up on your doorstep, no matter if they promise change, they tell you everything you want to hear, you're not excited by that anymore, because you are truly done and indifferent. And without that, no matter how strong you think your willpower is, when they pull on that string hard enough, even if you fight it, you end up tumbling back in. Number three, you absolutely have to rebuild what they have broken. I always say, if the brain is a house, your confidence is the living room. What you believe to be true about yourself is the bathroom. What makes you happy is the dining room. This narcissist has gone in there and smashed all of your things apart. They've whittled your self-esteem down. They've made it so that you don't know what you love or enjoy necessarily much anymore. They have become the centre of that house. And outside of that centre, that room that they have taken up, everything else is carnage. Now, what I always say to clients is, we have to rebuild those rooms. We have to put them back together, but so strong this time, so that no matter if this person brings a bulldozer to the house, they can't get through. If you don't fix what has been broken, and this can feel absolutely unfair that you need to do this, and that is also valid, But if you don't fix what has been broken and heal it once and for all, not only can they come back in because they know what code to put in each door, but you are then susceptible to being in these types of relationships again and again and again, that then causes further and further and further damage and makes healing so much harder. So we have to go in there. Once we've got you through the detachment process, once you're feeling more indifferent, once you're feeling strong, once you're not thinking of them all the time and the emotions have settled, we have to go in there and go, okay, let's fix what's been broken once and for all so it can't be broken by anybody else ever again.
Hopefully you found the advice and tips from the two content creators I just showed helpful. Please do check out their TikToks, a lot of quality content on there that's very helpful. My view is, if you've ever felt like you're stuck in a relationship that drains you more than it loves you, if you're constantly apologizing for things you didn't do or chasing the good version of someone who keeps disappearing, that's not love, that's narcissistic abuse. And the truth of the matter is, the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave. Narcissists don't change, they just change their tactics. They'll love bomb you to pull you back in, then they'll tear you down, wear you down to keep you trapped. But honestly, if you're going through this, you deserve so much more than crumbs of affection that they disguise or mask as love. In summary, guys, if you've recognized yourself in any part of this video, if you're finally seeing any patterns of narcissistic abuse, if you're seeing your relationship for what it truly is, please hear this and know this in your heart of hearts. None of this was your fault. Narcissistic abuse is designed to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel like you're the problem. But the truth of the matter is, you were targeted because of your empathy, your kindness, and your capacity to love. That's the exact same case for my two friends currently going through this. You weren't targeted because you have a flaw. And healing from this sort of relationship takes time. And it's okay if you're still untangling the pain, but today is a step forward. You're reclaiming your truth, you're reclaiming your worth and your life. But you don't have to do this alone, so lean on friends, lean on family, seek therapy if you're able to access it, afford it, if work will pay for it. And that's a lot of the advice I've given my friends. I'm trying to be very supportive and also direct them to resources I know will help. So if any part of this video helped you, inspired you, or made you feel seen, let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment I get, and your story matters. And if you're ready to take back your power, please feel free to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, because this is a channel where I would like to talk about so much more that can be helpful to us as a community, from setting boundaries, rebuilding our self-worth, and particularly in this case that's so important after narcissistic abuse. Definitely recognize you deserve support, and I hope this can be a community that's there for you. So let me know in the comments if you're committed to your healing journey. If you feel brave enough to share your story, please do so in the comments, as I'd love to cheer you on. And until next time, do remember, guys, this is something I live by. The best revenge is a life well lived. So keep going, keep growing, and I'll see you in my next video.